Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about the parasympathetic drugs. So parasympathetic drugs can be divided into directly acting parasympathetic drugs and indirectly acting parasympathetic drugs. Indirectly acting parasympathetic drugs will inhibit acetylcholine esterase. This acetylcholine esterase can be true acetylcholine esterase which acts on acetylcholine or pseudo acetylcholine esterase which acts on succinylcholine. Now let us learn about the directly acting parasympathomimetics. Directly acting parasympathomimetics, first we have the drug pilocarpine. Pilocarpine acts on M3. It is M3 receptor. It is an M3 agonist which causes active meiosis and thus used in the treatment of glaucoma. This pilocarpine has a very short duration of action and it increases the intraocular pressure even if one or two doses are mixed because of very short duration of action. So you should always keep in caution while using pilocarpine. Then we have methacholine. Methacholine acts on M2 receptor and it acts on myocardium. So M for M, methacholine myocardium. Because it causes bradycardia, it is used in the treatment of tachycardia. And we have a test called as methacholine challenge test, which is used in the asthma because methacholine causes bronchoconstriction. Then we have carbachol. Carbachol acts on M and N receptor and it is used in the treatment of glaucoma. Bithanacol, which is for bladder, B for bladder, bithanacol for bladder, which acts on M3 receptors, and bithanacol is used in the reversal of post-operative bladder atony or neurogenic bladder. It is used in reversal of post-operative bladder atony, neurogenic bladder, urinary retention and salivary gland malformation. In these situations we use bithanacol. Then we have ceomylium. Ceomyline acts on M3 receptors, that is glands, and it is used in the treatment of xerostomia in patients with Sjogren syndrome and chemotherapy. In patients suffering from Sjogren syndrome and chemotherapy, this ceomyline can be used in xerostomia. These are directly acting parasympathomimetics. Then if you see, the indirectly acting parasympathetic drugs are divided into two types. One, we have reversible anticholinesterase inhibitors and irreversible anticholinesterase inhibitors. Reversible anticholinesterase inhibitors are of two types. These includes carbamates and acridine. Acridine is tacrin is the drug, whereas in the example of acridine is tacrin. The examples of carbamates are tertiary amines which can cross the blood-brain barrier. Example is physostigmine, whereas quaternary amines cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. Quaternary amines cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, and the examples of quaternary amines are, these include rivastigmine, pyridostigmine, edrophonium, ambenonium, dimecarium, it includes dimecarium, neostigmine and donepezil and galantamine. It also includes donepezil and galantamine. So these are the different examples of reversible carbamates, acetylcholinesterase inhibitors. Now in the presence of irreversible acetylcholinesterase inhibitors are organophosphates and carbamates. Carbamates example is carboripapoxyl, whereas organophosphates examples are ecothiopate, parathione, diflose, malathion, diazinon, tabum, sarin and soman. Tabum, sarin and soman. Then if you see the reversible anticholinesterase, uses of reversible anticholinesterase inhibitors include first, it is reversible anticholinesterase inhibitors are used in atropine poisoning. First, atropine poisoning occurs due to the plant which is Atropa belladonna. So what happens if there is atropine poisoning? Atropine poisoning will cause M1 blocking, causing CNS symptoms, that is atropine psychosis. It also causes M3 blocker, resulting in mydriasis. This decreases the secretions and increases the body temperature. Then it also blocks M2 receptor and thus increases the heart rate. The drug of choice in atropine poisoning is physostigmine. Physostigmine is the drug of choice. Then the second use of reversible anticholinesterase inhibitor is myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis is used in the screening. In the myasthenia gravis, for screening of myasthenia gravis, we use the drug edrophonium, and this test is called as edrophonium or Tensilon test. In edrophonium or Tensilon test, we use 1 to 2 milligrams of IV dose of edrophonium, and this will improve this has two outcomes. One, if you give edrophonium, it will improve the skeletal activity or it will worsen the skeletal activity. It improves the skeletal activity, then that is called as myasthenic crisis, which is due to the disease, whereas if it worsens the skeletal activity, then it is cholinergic crisis. That means the problem is increased drugs. The investigation of choice is single fiber EMG, or we can also use anti-MuSK antibodies in the diagnosis of myasthenia gravis. Treatment of myasthenia gravis include pyridostigmine, ambanonium, we have neostigmine. All these are used in the treatment of symptoms. Pyridostigmine, ambanonium and neostigmine are used in the treatment of symptoms. Then we have the third use is in Alzheimer's disease. So in Alzheimer's disease, if you see the drug of choice in Alzheimer's disease is donepezil. Donepezil is the drug of choice in Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease causes tacrine. Withdrawal of tacrine will cause hepatotoxin because of hepatotoxin. Treatment of Alzheimer's disease is donepezil is used as drug of choice. Rivastigmine, galantamine is lipid soluble. Then we have fourth use, which is the reversible anticholinesterases are also used in paralytic ileus and bladder atony. Paralytic ileus and bladder atony. These parasympathetic system helps in voiding of urine, so as a result they are used in paralytic ileus and bladder atony, and here we use neostigmine only. And in diseases like cobra bite, myasthenia gravis and reversal of non-depolarizing muscle relaxants. Reversal of non-depolarizing muscle relaxants. In these conditions, we mainly use neostigmine with atropine rather than only atropine. Here we use both neostigmine and atropine, because if you see cobra bite has anticholinergic action on both the neurons and also on both nicotinic and muscarinic receptors. So all these will have actions on both nicotinic and muscarinic receptors. So to counteract them, we use both neostigmine and atropine. Then in paroxysmal atrial tachycardia, we can use edrophonium, but verapamil is more better used than edrophonium. Then the final use is used in glaucoma. In glaucoma, if you see, the physostigmine is used as a miotic drug in glaucoma. So these are the different uses of reversible anticholinesterase inhibitors. Now, in the presence of irreversible anticholinesterase inhibitors can be of two types. One, we have organophosphates and carbamates. In the organophosphates, tabum, sarin and soman are called as potential nerve gases. This irreversible anticholinesterases are volatile, non-polar, can cross intact skin and mucosa also. So, these irreversible anticholinesterase inhibitors, anticholinesterases, are most important is about organophosphate poisoning. Organophosphate poisoning occurs most commonly in the farmers. It causes following clinical features like salivation, lacrimation, urination, diarrhea, GI distress. It causes emesis, fasciculations due to action of nicotinic receptors, bradycardia and pinpoint pupil. The treatment of organophosphates is drug of choice is atropine. This atropine is given IV 2 milligrams, or it is given IV for 15 minutes, and this atropine is repeated till atropinization occurs. What is atropinization? In atropinization, there will be increased secretions, increased heart rate and improved pupil size. Second, we can give acetylcholinesterase reactivators, which are oximes are given only in organophosphorus poisoning. We give oximes. These oximes are of three types. We have pralidoxime and obidoxime, which is used peripherally, and then we have diacetyl monoxamine, which is used both peripherally and centrally. So peripherally used is pralidoxime and obidoxime, both peripherally and centrally is diacetyl monoxamine. Now, what is the difference between oximes and the atropine? See, we have in the acetylcholinesterase enzyme, we have two sites, anionic site and esteric site. To the anionic site, oxime will bind, and the oxime binds in to the anionic site, and organophosphate binds in the esteric site. So whenever both these are bind, this oxime will form a bond with organophosphate and thus removes the organophosphate. But if you see the carbamates will bind both on anionic site and esteric site. So here the oximes have no chance of binding to anionic site because of already present carbamate in anionic site. So these oximes are not used for carbamate poisoning. They are only used for organophosphate poisoning. So what are the uses of irreversible acetylcholinesterase inhibitors? So the uses are, first we have ecothiopate. The drug ecothiopate the drugs like ecothiopate, carborel and malathion have some uses. Ecothiopate is a strong miotic and its half-life is 1 week. This ecothiopate is used in glaucoma, whereas carborel has low dermal absorption and it is used to control the head lice. Malathion is used in the treatment of pediculosis. It is used in the treatment of pediculosis if there is resistance to permethrin. So these are the different important things about the anticholinesterases and parasympathetic parasympathomimetic drugs. So thank you guys for watching my lecture. Thank you.